You know all those complex apps on your phone? Have you ever wondered how huge teams build them without everything just falling apart into total chaos? Well, today we're going to pull back the curtain on the system that's designed to do just that. Tame the chaos in software development. Seriously, just think about it for a second. You've got developers, designers, testers, all these different people working on one massive project. How do they all stay on the same page? I mean, it really should be a complete disaster, right? The secret, it turns out, lies in a really powerful philosophy. And of course, the digital tool that brings that philosophy to life. So the answer really starts with a mindset, a philosophy called Agile. Now, instead of thinking about some massive, years-long project, I want you to imagine building a house, but one perfect, totally usable room at a time. That's kind of the heart of Agile. It's all about delivering real, tangible value in these short, predictable cycles and staying flexible and collaborative the entire time. But a philosophy is just an idea until you have a real place to put it into practice. And that's exactly where Jira comes in. You can think of it as the digital command center, built from the ground up for Agile teams. It's the place where every single one of those small pieces of work gets defined, assigned, and tracked all the way to done. Okay, so how does Jira actually manage all this chaos? Well, it all starts with a really brilliant and logical structure. Let's dive in and look at the anatomy of a project, breaking it down from that grand idea all the way to a single tiny task. Right at the very top of the food chain, you've got something called an epic. The best way to think about this is like the novel you're writing. It's a huge body of work, a major feature like, say, a user authentication system. It's way more than just a big task. It's the container that gives context and purpose to a whole bunch of other work. And of course, every novel is made up of chapters. Well, in Jira, that user authentication epic gets broken down into what we call stories. Now, a story is really cool because it frames a feature from the user's perspective. For example, as a new user, I want to register for an account. It's a simple shift in language, but it's huge. It makes sure the team is always focused on building something that provides value to a real person. And finally, following our analogy, each chapter is made of paragraphs. In the same way, each story is broken down into tasks. Now, these are the concrete, actionable to-do items that the team actually works on. So for our registration story, a task might be design the registration form or build the database table. This is where the rubber really meets the road. And there you have it. That's the brilliant hierarchy in action. You see how you flow seamlessly from a massive idea, that's the epic, down to a user-focused feature, the story, and then finally to a specific to-do item, the task? This structure is absolutely crucial because it ensures that no work is ever disconnected from the bigger goal. Nothing gets lost in the shuffle. Okay, so we've got the work all structured and organized, but the big question is, when does it actually get done? Well, this is where the predictable rhythm of Agile comes into play. This rhythm is built around something called a sprint. Now, the key thing to get here is that a sprint is not a marathon. It is a short, super focused burst of work, typically about 2 weeks long. The team commits to a specific amount of work for that sprint, and they focus only on that work. This creates a really sustainable pace and, more importantly, delivers results consistently. And the cycle itself is really simple but incredibly powerful. On day one, the team plans everything out and commits to the work. Then, for the next couple of weeks, they're heads down, building and testing. On the very last day, they show off what they've accomplished. And then, the very next day, the cycle starts all over again. It's like a steady heartbeat that drives constant progress. Now, a system like this only works for one big reason. Everyone knows what's going on. Transparency is an absolutely core principle of Agile, and Jira is the tool that makes all the work visible to the entire team, using some really powerful visual aids. And this is the beating heart of a team sprint, the Scrum board. Honestly, it's a beautifully simple concept. Every task is its own little card that starts in the to-do column. As soon as someone starts working on it, it moves to in progress. And when it's finished, it goes to done. Just like that. In a single glance, anyone, and I mean anyone, from the CEO down to a new hire, can see the exact status of the project. No meetings needed. And it's so important to realize this isn't just some glorified to-do list for the programmers. No way. Jira is built to be the central nervous system for the entire team. Here's a perfect example of how that works in practice. For just one single story, a developer will create tasks for writing the code. But at the exact same time, a QA tester is in there creating tasks for building the tests that will verify that code. Both of their tasks live in Jira. They're both linked to the same story, And it ensures that their work is always perfectly in sync. And honestly, Jira's power just grows from there. Through this whole universe of plugins and add-ons, it can manage literally everything from super detailed test cases to all the technical documentation. It transforms from just a project tracker into the single source of truth for the entire product. What does that mean for the team? No more hunting around for information. It's all in one place.
Okay, so we've seen the structure, we've seen the rhythm, but you might be wondering, why go through all this trouble? What are the real, tangible benefits of actually working this way?
Well, it really all boils down to two things: control and clarity. You're basically replacing guessing games with total transparency. You connect every single little action back to a larger purpose, so nobody's effort ever gets wasted. And by creating that predictable rhythm, you're not just building a product, you're building a reliable, predictable engine for getting things done. And that makes planning for the future way, way more accurate. You know, this quote from one of our sources just nails it perfectly. Jira is a purely agile management tool. Each and every activity we can define, we can track in Jira tool itself. It's not just another piece of software. It's a full-blown system where you can define and, this is the important part, track every single thing. So, I'll leave you with this question to think about. Whether you're building software, launching a marketing campaign, or really just trying to organize any complex project, how could this framework of structure, rhythm, and total transparency transform the way your team works? Thanks for joining us.